Okay, so one of Ireland's favourite pale ales is Citra Pale Ale from YellowBelly Brewing down in Wexford. This is the bigger brother. I think this is the bigger brother anyway. It's a Citra DIPA. It's Immoral support from YellowBelly, although they've changed the name to Bluebelly. It's probably the alter ego. Okay, so that's up next. Hey, welcome back to Views on Brews. I am Brendan, and this is a double IPA from YellowBelly Brewing down in Wexford. It's a Immoral support, and it is hot off the press, cold out of the fridge. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a big boy. It's 9% ABV. Anyone who knows YellowBelly Brewing down in Wexford will know that they are pretty much famous in Ireland for their can design artwork. I'll link the guy in the description below who does all their artwork for them. But this looks like the alter ego. So normally you have YellowBelly, but this looks like Blueberry. Anyway, 9% Immoral support. Let's get it in the can. Let's get it in the glass and have a go. It's just come out the back of the car, so it's a little bit lively. Nice burst of citrus on the nose as I was pouring it out there. Looks like a double IPA. Double IPAs that have a little bit of bitterness, they always, to me, look a little bit syrupy, golden syrup-like. And I kind of like that, the old school style double IPAs that have that. You know, there's a little bit of malt going on in there and a little bit of oily stickiness going on to it as well. So I don't know what this one's going to be like, but presuming based on the look of it alone, that's what I'm going to get. There's quite a heavy body going on here, I can see, because a lot of the carbonation bubbles are just sort of floating a little bit. So it's very strange, just sort of going around like a snow globe. That's kind of weird. Okay, anyway, let's have a look at it. Yeah, nice. You don't get a massive head on a double IPA, but there's a nice one finger staying head. Reasonably tightly compact, dense bubbles on the top. And it looks antique golden syrup. Golden syrup, it looks fantastic. Bright citrusy, a little bit of resin on the nose as well. Like, I know it's Citra, so you know, when you know what hops are in something, you're trying to constantly look for the things that that Citra gives. Actually, it does tell you what malts are in here, so that's interesting. I'll have a look at that just a second. Yeah, there is like a multi-contribution going on in here, and there is a decent sort of melding of, you know, high amounts of malt and high amounts of Citra hops, and I think there's whole melon in here. Yeah, actually, I would say there's kind of like a green fruit going on in there as well. So yeah, whole melon, why not? It's made with Pilsner malt, which is usually a little bit sweeter, as opposed to, for instance, like a pale or a Marisotto, which can come across sometimes as a little bit more biscuity. Wheat blanc, so white wheat basically. That's interesting. That'll fill out the body as well. It's whole melon and Citra hops. Everybody's enjoying whole melon right now. It's kind of like the hop of choice. It brings a really different kind of hoppy uniqueness to the flavor profile of a beer. Let's see what it does in this one. But we've got Munich malt in here as well, so there's going to be a bit of richness. Cheers, Slancha. Let's give it a go. It's amazing because last night I just had from a home brewer who passed by, dropped me in a pale ale. And I was expecting what you normally get from like an American pale ale. But this one, he had put Munich and Vienna malts in it. Those two both bring a bit of richness to the game. And it instantly felt a little bit German. And I just want to say, look, I'm getting a little bit of Munich on here. I know it doesn't feel German in any way, but it does feel like, you know, there's a bit more balance of malt than sometimes you would expect from a double IPA, the new school of double IPAs, where it's just like, you know, the least amount of malt contribution possible. This one has gone in the opposite direction, I'm pleased to say, because I want to see some more expression of malts going on. The wheat will give it body, so that's kind of like the, you know, the Pilsner and the wheat. That's what the new kids on the block are doing these days. But putting a touch of malt in there, I really like. That gives it a little bit of separation from what's on the market currently. Well, if it looks syrupy on the taste, it tastes doubly syrupy on the tongue. This is like a big beer. It's 9%. It's a big double IPA at 9%. You're almost tipping on to a tipper, we could say. And you know, you do get that. There's big, bold sort of malty flavors going on in here. It has a little bit of that sweetness to it, quite a bit of that sweetness to it. That sticky sweetness, that oily, resinous sort of pungency where the, you know, the hops sort of meld into that malt a little bit. But the beautiful thing about this beer is the Citra hops. Citra hops are so good. You know, Mosaic is one of those hops that absolutely is a one hop cure-all solution to any single beer you can put it in, because it has so much going on. But Citra is also that way as well. Goes in dark beers, goes in light beers, and it goes in double IPAs, and it fills out the flavor with a piney citrus note that feels like it can stand up to the characteristic profile of the rest of the beer. And that's why they've got it in here. They've got a real robust hop in here. Now, I know it's kind of like the bigger brother, let's say, to Citra Pale Ale, which is like an award-winning beer over here in Ireland. And I like Citra Pale Ale. I haven't had it in quite a while, but it is their core range beer. This is a one-off beer, and maybe we'll see it again. I don't know. But fantastic artwork. I'm delighted that the can wrap, I can take it off and put it on my beer fridge to add to the others. That's kind of like, it's quite a heavy beer, but what keeps it from being sickly sweet is that, you know, there's not so much malt in there, there's not so much sugary sweetness, because backing it, the whole thing up, is those Citra hops. Whole melon, it's kind of like adding a layer of depth of character to the hop profile. I wonder, do I get that? I know that you get lychee, citrus, you know, a bit of lime you're supposed to get in Citra as well. I'm trying to shove my nose in there. I'm not getting too much whole melon. Perhaps it would show up in another beer a little bit more, but it probably is one of those hops in this specific beer whereby when you add it, it adds a layer of depth to the hop profile without you really realizing it. And that's sort of, you know, I feel like I don't know if it's the idea planted in my head of getting melon on the nose. It probably is. I mean, it does feel a bit fresh and green on the nose. I'll put that down to whole melon, but I could be talking BS as well. That's a big boy. That is a big boy. That is an unashamed, brash double IPA. The bitterness, surprisingly, isn't over the top in any way, actually. It's kind of like not much bitterness at all. Like there's actually kind of like a muted bitterness in here. So it's not like a real harsh, resiny, lingering bitterness at all. It's kind of like very little bitterness, I would say. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that they only started putting the hops in this beer towards the very end of the boil, or maybe at 30 minutes. like a very small addition of boil, and then all of it shoved in at the back end. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this beer. That's Yellow Belly. Go check them out. Great brewery. They're always experimenting. Not quite so much recently, but they moved into their new brewery. COVID happened and all that hoo-ha. But before that, they were just doing 10 to the dozen, a different beer or 2 or 3 beers it seemed like every week, but there was at least a couple of beers going on every time I went to the off license. So fantastic brewery. Cheers, sláinte, and oh, by the way, I like that beer a lot. It's on to the next one. Bye bye.